Good evening, Mr. Servan. Just want to check that you can hear us and that we can hear you. Mr. Servan? Good evening, Mr. Spanarelli.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
That's great. So am I.
That's equally as great.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Servan, before we begin, I'd just like to check to see if we can hear you. I wasn't able to hear you before. Can you hear us? Yep, we still cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. We can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, I tried calling in and it won't answer. It just tells me continue to hold. So I'll just use the connection with the WebEx or what's it called? Yeah, WebEx.
Yeah, that's perfect. We actually prefer that if you don't over the phone, if you have a mobile device or computer.
Okay.
It's now 6:30. I'd like to call to order the Regional Planning Commission not the public hearing, it's the business meeting of this organization. And as we do customarily when we call to order at night, do a pledge. So I'd ask Mr. Davis, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Fine.
With liberty and justice for all.
I would ask that if you have a cell phone or electronic device, that you either put it on vibrate or turn it off so you won't disrupt our meeting. Now we'll get into a roll call and determination of quorum. Sarah, please.
Mr. Peterman?
Here.
Mr. Servon?
Here.
Mrs. Karcher?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Spinarelli?
Present.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Jester?
Here.
So you have 7 present, you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. You have in front of you tonight's agenda. Are there any additions, deletions? And if not, I'd ask for a motion to approve in a second.
Make a motion to approve?
Second. Please call the commissioners.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes.
Mr. Servon?
Yes.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Spinarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Sir, you have 7 yeas in favor of approving tonight's agenda.
I thank you again. You also have in front of you tonight the approval for the minutes of April the 8th, 2021. If there's no additions or corrections, I once again would ask for a motion and a second.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes.
Mr. Servon?
Yes.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Spinarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Not voting, I was not attending at the meeting.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
So you have 6 yeas, 1 not voting, in favor of approving the minutes of April 8th.
Thank you once again. You also have in front of you 11 court action on the commission recommendations with only the one that they approved. So if you do have any questions, please contact staff. We'll now go into our new business for the night. The first one is C-21-02, First State Signs. It's a request for conditional use approval of a billboard located inside the growth zone overlay district. He did a great presentation last week, even had drawings to show us anticipating what it would look like. Do I have any questions from the commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion and for to move forward.
I'll move.
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Servon.
Mr. Servon, go ahead.
This is for the planning department. I was wondering if there's any guidance that's given or needed to ensure that the one billboard doesn't block out other billboards down the street.
The county has a required distance between billboards, so we actually keep them fairly far apart.
So they don't really drive down the street to see if one placement might, block out the view of another one behind it.
No, it will not.
Okay. I was just wondering because I drove down the street and depending on how big that billboard is, it might obstruct a couple others behind it. Where it's placed.
I think what Sarah said, it's quite a distance, Sarah. Do you remember off the top of your head what the distance is between billboards?
It's actually about 1,900 feet away from the closest.
Okay.
All right, is that okay, Mr. Servon?
That's pretty far. Yeah. I
Okay.
just thought the other businesses like Artisans Bank was a lot closer than that.
Okay, thank you. That should probably answer your questions. Now we'll move on for a motion, and I think Mr. Mills is going to do it.
I move that the Regional Planning Commission recommend conditional approval of application C-21-03, a billboard located inside the Growth Zone Overlay District. This is based on Exhibit A, the staff recommended report dated May the 6th, 2021. Exhibit B, public hearing testimony dated May the 6th, 2021, and the findings of the facts that A, the subject site is Zone BG, general business in which a billboard is permitted, and that's dash 205-170 and 205-266 of the Kent County Code, and B, the applicant complies with the comprehensive plan pursuant to Chapter 205 of the Kent County Code and pursuant to the 4802. The commission has reviewed the application, and furthermore, as part of this approval, the applicant shall comply with all staff and agencies' requirements as described in May 6, 2021. Staff recommended report and the following conditions of approval. A, the applicant shall comply with all the conditions per 205-226, 266 of the Kent County Code. B, failure to comply with the conditions of the approval or applicant regulations can result in a ratification of the permits issued for this conditional use and ratification of the conditional use itself.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Servon?
Yes, that's for the recommendation of staff.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Mills?
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Spanarelli?
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Jester?
Yes, for all reasons given.
Sir, you have 7 yeas in favor of recommending conditional approval of application C-2102.
Thank you very much, and good luck with your project. Next on the agenda tonight is Z-21-01/LC21-09, Corridor Torres Aderas. Request to amend the zoning map from RS1, Single Family Residential, to / Medium Density Residential to RMH, Residential Manufactured Home, located inside the Growth Zone Overlay District. She did a great job, and the presentation was very thorough. If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion, and I think
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Davis is going to do it.
Mr. Chair, can I interrupt just for a second? It's Denise.
Yeah.
I neglected to say that I was not at last week's meeting, and I have viewed the entire meeting from last week.
Thank you very much. We'll make sure the record shows that. Mr. Davis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Regional Planning Commission recommend approval of ordinance LC 21-09, Corridor Torres address to amend zoning map from RS1, Single Family Residential, Medium Density Residential, to RMH, Residential Manufactured Home, located inside the Growth Overlay District. This is based on a staff recommendation report dated May 6, 2021, the public hearing testimony dated May 6, 2021, and the findings of fact that number A, the proposed zoning district change from RS1 to RMH will not change the recommended land use classification that was adopted in the 2018 comprehensive plan. B, adequate infrastructure is available to serve the additional residential development on the site. C, there would be compatibility between the use of the property as reclassified and the surrounding use that would promote the health, safety, and welfare of the present and future residents of the county. Thank you.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Servon?
Yes, to approve.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Mills,
Yes to approve.
Mr. Spanarelli,
Yes to approve.
Mr. Davis,
Yes, per motion, staff recommendation.
Mr. Jester.
Yes, for all reasons given.
So we have 7 yeas in favor of recommending approval of ordinance LC 2109.
Thank you very much, and also good luck with your project. On our next application, the UNRU application, I have direct involvement with that. So as chairman of this committee, I'll have to recuse myself. I'll be turning over the gavel to Vice Chair, Mr. Paul Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The application before us is application number SLV-21-03. The applicant being Bonnie L. Unruh, Dora K. Uplinger, 170 Dolders Lane, Hartley, Delaware, 19953. Owner is Betty V. Unruh, 240 Dolders Lane, Hartley, Delaware, 19953. Engineer is Robert L. Larimore Incorporated, 328 Moose Lodge Road, Wyoming, Delaware, 19934. The additional contact would be Wanda Unruh, 240 Dolders Lane, Hartley, Delaware, 19953. The present zoning district is AR, Agricultural Residential. The present use is parcel 46.01, Residential and Agriculture. Parcel 47.06, Private Road. Proposed use, parcel 46.01, Residential Minor Subdivision. Parcel 4706, Private Road. Relation to the growth zone, it's outside. Levy Court District is a 6th Levy Court. Commissioner Howe. The area and location, parcel 46.01, 16 plus acres located on the west end of Dolders Lane, approximately 1,080 feet plus west of Arthurville Road, north of Hartley. Parcel 47.06, 1.6 acres, described as a private road, Dolders Lane, located off of Arthurville Road, approximately 1,819 feet south of Ford's Corner Road and approximately 1,600 feet north of Beaver Drive, north of Hartley. Kent County property identification is KH00-053-00-01-46.01-000 and KH-00-053-00-01-47.06000. Nature of the request, applicant requires waivers from 187-53A4, private street paving requirement, 187-58G, 1, and 3, cul-de-sac street length and paving specs, and 187-58J for private street width to allow an existing private road to be extended 600 feet in length to an unpaved and to allow minimum roadway less than 18 feet in order to facilitate a minor subdivision for family conveyance. Is there someone here to speak on behalf of this, representing this application? Come forward, please. The county attorney will swear you both in. Only one? Okay, go ahead.
State your name and address, please.
Bonnie Unruh,
Address. Address, please.
Dora Uplinger.
I need your addresses.
Oh, I'm sorry. 170 Daughters Lane, Hartley, Delaware, 19953.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth,
I
and nothing
affirm.
but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. The commissioners have read the application. You're looking at me from over here. Thank you. They have read the application, and we'd like for you to tell us what you plan on doing at the site.
We just plan to move further down the lane. When our dad died, he was farming that property, or he had been supervising the farming of that property. But over 14 years that we've had somebody else doing the work, we have difficulty with them doing a good job because it is only 10 tillable acres. So in order to relieve the stress of my mom, we just want to, both my sister and I live next to my mom. We were just gonna move down that area so that we could take care of it and she wouldn't have to worry about it.
Okay, that sounds very reasonable. I commend you for looking after your family. Wish more people would do that. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Any
I
questions?
have a question, Denise.
Denise, go ahead.
Well, I just want to make sure that the applicant or applicants, I guess, understand the need for either a homeowners association or some type of road maintenance agreement should this go forward.
Yes, we understand that, and we are going to work toward that. We're all for that, and we understand that what we want to do would impact a little bit of traffic on the lane. We know that in order to do this, both me and my sister have to sell our current property in order to build. And so we know that we're increasing the minor subdivision from 7 lots to 9. And so, yes, we are willing to work with the 3 neighbors at the end of the lane, and the rest of us are all related. We're sort of like a compound, but we won't say that. But yes, we understand the need for that, and we're gonna talk to our neighbors. The only question that we have is if one neighbor objects, does that mean that we can't do it out of 7 or 9? What do you do in that
Sarah,
situation?
could you explain?
Excuse me?
She's asking me to
I'm
explain it.
I'm just saying, according to the recommendations of the zoning board we got in the mail this week, they said that every single neighbor had to give 100% agreement to this. So my only question is if one neighbor doesn't agree, does that mean we can't do it?
I would yield to the county attorney, but in my view, we simply get the best possible outcome we can. So we get as many people signing on as
So
we
if there
can.
was a majority, then we still might be able to do it?
I think that would be the best outcome, including for the lots you're already on, that you're going to sell. So
Right.
best to get
We
as
can
many as we
understand
can.
that.
So if
Right.
one person objects, I think we keep going and we get the best outcome of everyone else signing on.
Okay. We're fine with that, and we get along with everybody. We agree. We need something to take care of the road. Our parents paid for that at the beginning, and we do need help with that. So we're agreeing to talk to the neighbors.
We'll work through you as we go, work with
Right.
you as we go through the process.
For the record, I agree with the planning director.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
are there any other questions from the commissioners on the phone? Commissioner Mills?
Yeah, it brings up a question in my mind, is what she just mentioned about anybody with opposition to it. How come this didn't come up before a public hearing in order to invite people here to be able to object to it or talk in favor of it?
It's an administrative application in and of itself. A minor subdivision doesn't come to a public hearing. Therefore, a waiver from one of the regulations does not come to a public hearing. In fact, these waivers typically are approved by the staff. The reason it's before the Planning Commission now is because the Planning Commission approved earlier waivers. So staff didn't think it was appropriate if we did something else.
Thank you. Any other questions from any of the commissioners or staff?
And we do understand on the recommendations of the zoning board, they were talking about the rejection of one we had put Crusher Run, but we are quite willing to do blacktop like it is there now. Thank you. Jason just said, put something down. So we chose the cheapest one, of course.
Fair.
But everything else is blacktop, so yes, we plan to blacktop that.
Okay, it sounds like we appreciate your testimony. It sounds like you're on the right track, and you definitely want to be a good neighbor, and that's very commendable. So that would end your testimony. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak for or against? Seeing none, and have a roll call for the vote. We're asked for the motion to be made.
Mr. Vice Chairman,
I'll be happy to. Go ahead.
You have a question, Denise? Do you have a
No,
question?
I'm ready to make the motion.
Yeah,
I'll
go
be
ahead.
happy to make the motion.
You go ahead. Go ahead, Denise.
Okay. I move that the Regional Planning Commission grant the waiver from 187-58G3 cul-de-sac street length to permit an additional 220 plus or minus feet, and from 187-58J4 private street width to permit the paved portion of the cul-de-sac to be reduced from, I don't think it should say 676 feet, I think it's to 10 feet, and the paved portion of the road, 76 to 10 feet, and the paved portion of the roadway to be reduced from 18 to 10 feet. I further move to grant a modified approval of the waiver from 187-58G1 street paving, and instead require the extension of the private road to be paved to the same condition as the existing road. Furthermore, as a condition of approval, since the private road is to be perpetually maintained by the owners of real property within the subdivision, and an extension of the existing private road would increase the obligation of those property owners, the existing road maintenance agreement must be replaced to meet the requirements of Kent County Code 187-58J6, which includes the creation of a homeowners association or a maintenance cooperation document by articles of incorporation, declaration of restrictions, and bylaws filed with the state of Delaware, and that all existing property owners within the subdivision agree to the extension of the private road, or by working, I guess I will add in, or by working with staff to achieve this end.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
second.
Commissioner Peterman, second that. Any questions on the motion? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Servon?
I vote yes to grant this waiver.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes, for the motion.
Mr. Mills?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Spanarelli?
Yes for the motion.
And Mr. Davis?
Yes, per motion, and I extend best wishes to the family. I know small towns, it's always close knitted with everybody, and everybody's related, because I come from a small town, so you'll make out just fine. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
Let the minutes show that I, as chairman, have come back to ask if there's any public comment, any other public comment, any commissioner comments other than what we've talked about. Hearing none, any other business before the commission? If not, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Servon?
Yes to adjourn.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes, to adjourn.
Mr. Mills?
Yes to,
Mr. Spanarelli?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Davis?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Chester?
Yes to adjourn. Thank you very much, and hope to see you here next month.